other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
Love is life.
yes, indeed.
Purity in love
Mm-hmm.
is life.
Mm-hmm.
So we must understand.
Yeah.
We must understand that this is a divine time for us.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That divine time.
Divine time. So we must open this divine meeting
That's right.
in the name of divine creator.
Mm-hmm.
Al-Sufian. Know that all is invited.
Mm-hmm.
All religions and all faiths. Because all religions and all faiths are ultimately part of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 2 hour agenda, so we're not going to hold you long. And we don't want to hold you. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to just give the pure, as we say in the Southern South, the pure, unadulterated truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the divine is our agenda. Our agenda is the divine.
Mm-hmm.
To understand Muhammad's Allah, to know thyself clearly, and we like to thank all attendees who come to know thyself clearly and strive for purity in life. Our previous knowledge we cover from God to all are.
Mm-hmm.
The meaning of the word of unity, understanding aha, thinking outside the box, non-centricity.
Mm-hmm.
All law is free from reflection. These are some good things. Allah does not beget. Allah is not begotten. Allah, as defined in the Quran, and Allah is not a God. That was our previous knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Our new knowledge of today is what is self cruelty? How does multiplicity arise from unity? The point names, the point is the reality, the projection is the illusion. And so, with that on our agenda, we begin our divine instructions on chapter 12.
Okay, I'll start it off. And it asks the question, the topic. What is self-cruelty? And we can identify the cruelty that we do. For instance, when we have loved ones that we love that just won't be kind and good to their body, and they just treat it in that kind of way, and we see the cruelty that they do, like for instance, with all this alcohol and all these strong drugs and stuff that they put in their body, and how they live, and don't believe in cleaning behind themselves and all this stuff. It's just a mess. And we're talking about cruelty, and we got to treat self better than that because we abuse it each and every day. And I look back across my life, and when I didn't have knowledge, and now having it without having the right knowledge is a dangerous and cruel thing because when you don't have it, look for a truckload of trouble. Or the old poet can say, a sea of trouble. And we know the sea is pretty big and pretty deep. And we're talking about a sea of trouble, a sea of cruelty. Whoever we call upon, with whatever name, we will always be invoking the one denoted by Allah. Whatever name we call him, it says the one denoted by the name Allah is such that it is impossible to speak of another than he. Whether it be by his essential attribute, the meaning that he manifests, or the activities that are formed by these meanings, in every moment, in every way, it is always he that is being though thought and spoken of any instant in which we think or talked about another form of existence we assume exists outside of Allah, we fall into duality. This is what the Quran referred to as shirk. I remember seeing that brother question the Nation of Islam, and that's what he would call it when they were talking about Nasser Muhammad came from Muhammad that, and that's who we supposed to look at too. He said he told the man, you teaching shirk. Do not turn to a God. Did you hear that? Do not turn to a God. Exterior manifestation of power beside Allah. Quran 28:88 ayat. Indeed, association, partners with Allah, i.e., duality, in parentheses, is great injustice. Now, can you imagine when you think about the peoples of the world and just what they are doing today? And it says, do not turn to a God, and that's all they do, turn to a God. And I mean, it don't have to be anything specific. It can just be any kind of God, and they prop it up. This is what this society does. And to associate others with Allah says a great injustice. Quran 31:13. A great injustice, and people pretty much do that on a daily basis. Each and every day they do a great injustice to themselves by not knowing when they don't know the proper name or the real name of our divine creator. So this is what we are doing to ourselves. It is cruelty to our essential self as by worshiping other gods, plural, beyond ourselves in a veiled state from our essence, we are associating partners to Allah, thereby committing shirk. This, in turn, is depriving us from reaching the infinite quality residing in our very own essence. Hence, we are doing the biggest cruelty to ourselves. To be deprived of the reality of our own self is the biggest cruelty that can be done to us. And by failing to comply with the system, we are unfortunately doing this to ourselves. Think on that a moment. The biggest cruelty, the rule, he who knows himself not his wrath is derived from the warning. He who knows himself knows the reality of the names comprising his essence. To know Allah, one must understand the one denoted by the name Allah. This understanding can only be acquired by the knowledge of Allah, disclosed by Muhammad, peace be upon him. So, I had intricately covered the topic of self. And know yourself, but I shall also talk a little about it here. Since there is no other existence but Allah, who or what is this existence to which we refer as the self or as I, capital I? How was it formed? What clues have we been provided with to help us resolve this? We will try to answer these questions in congruence with the understanding of Allah we have been sharing so far. If we say anything to contradict that which has been said up to this point, we will automatically be misled and fall into the trap of duality. The person and his God.
That's key. That's the key and lock.
Yeah.
That's the key and lock right there.
Trap.
That's how they did a DNA lockdown. By doing this and separating this in an idealistic form. That's how they was able to do a DNA lockdown, which is to create a false system.
Yeah.
That is opposite of the all law system. And so, and this is what they created. Now, in the olden times, it wasn't called this, but it raised itself to be. That's what's called when you just do it in the form of Christ.
Yeah.
See, the end goal of Christ is Christ Allah. But when you don't know the wisdom of Allah and you just take the person as Jesus, then yourself, This is the DNA lockdown. So our people have to understand the knowledge of all law so they can free themselves back to the natural original system. They've been copyrighted and overridden by a false system called society.
Yeah.
System.
Yeah. Society. Ain't that something?
It's very
That
key.
word there. Yeah.
The creator already created a system.
That's right.
For you.
Yeah.
You in it, and the instructions
already. That's right.
But this is what they has been keeping from us, the people, so they can maintain the 1%.
The Quran states the following regarding the creation purpose of human beings. In Quran, 2nd Surah, 30th ayat says, and when your Ra said to the angel, indeed, I will make upon the earth the body a vicegerent, in parentheses, a conscious being who will live with the awareness of the names. So creating a body, a vicegerent, a conscious being who will live with the awareness of the name. When you meet today in today's society, wherever you may be, you run into other beings, he should be conscious of himself and conscious of you and all his surroundings.
That's a key to let you know who's from the divine creator.
Yeah. So if you run into anybody and they ain't aware or conscious of themselves, then you know what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Most people are not conscious.
That's right, and that's what I was just going to say. And in America, we have a lot of unconsciousness going on each and every day.
Mm-hmm. But as we were saying, just like the physical percent of the 1% who control all societies, the creator don't leave the earth dry. There'll always be some places where the water of life is. So when we understand the creator gonna always have conscious beings who live this reality, always on the planet. That's why we reading ancient texts of people who was living in that awareness. And this is a particular awareness that specifically that you can achieve. And that when you walk this path is to attain this path. That word vicegerent, if you ask the people and then you ask the Muslim community specifically, who is or what is that vicegerent?
Yeah.
And see, and you'll get different words, but you wouldn't get the right word. You'll get wrong words as the Mahdi. See, and these things that we have to understand that these are not the complete true name, the Nabi. These are part of it, but that's not the divine origin, or else the planet would be healed and it would be healing. So if we don't understand Muhammad's Allah different from the concept of God, we would not understand who you are. This is the knowledge of self as a science in ancient times. So we have to understand they were so brilliant. We were so brilliant. We left a science book before science books were even thought of. And the science book is so accurate that if you was to understand it, you will break free. Because everything is synced to each other. Opposites have their equal opposites. So that's what we want to lay down. This is a real thing that's going down as you read these holy scriptures.
Yeah.
These are things happening in the moment.
That's right, in this very moment. It is interesting to note that man has been made a vicegerent upon the earth, and not the universe or cosmos. But how did man become a vicegerent? The Quran answered this with the verse. And he taught Adam, in parentheses, a manifest and programmed composition of the names. All of the names, all knowledge pertaining to the names and their manifestation. Quran 2:31. If you don't know, somebody got to teach you. I think everybody done been to school because they didn't know. And if it's not the right teacher, then it could be the wrong teachers who's teaching you. And that's another thing that we need to be cautious of. We need to make sure that we have the right teacher with the right knowledge. A lot of us been taught in school, ain't we? Look at our condition. There must wasn't the right teacher. Because there are many school teachers, minister teachers, you name it. There's many, but are they the right one? What this verse is saying is, man has been endowed with the capacity and capability to manifest the infinite names of Allah to the extent that he wills. See? The capacity and capability. So if you don't have that, then you're the wrong teacher done taught you because you're coming up short. And that's why you don't have the capability of straightening anything out. Because if you've been taught by the right one, then you should have no problem with capacity.
And that's big that we cover this right here. Because throughout ancient knowledge, this is the course of ancient knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to read some of other ancient knowledge saying the same thing about the capacity and the capability to manifest the infinite names. And this is what man has been shut off from. This is the science of all sciences. We are only supposed to be taught the omnipotence,
Mm-hmm.
the omnipower of man.
Mm-hmm.
Sin,
Mm-hmm.
both male and female, omnipower,
Mm-hmm.
all power,
Mm-hmm.
all ability, then they cannot reach faith.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is the surety of omnipower. So if we don't know that omnipower is of Allah in man, then we don't have the faith that we think that we have from the. We have something mimicking. Therefore, hijacking. Remember, all of this is stolen, retranslated for commercial purposes only, not for you to understand. This was made for them to get rich, of us trying to find out how and who we are.
That's what they did.
So they scatter commercialities.
Yeah.
So now we have to understand how to not subject yourself to society, but subject yourself to what is originated from at the beginning, the first. This is where society that is ruling over majority of people is siphoning their power from. They tapping into source. And if you don't know of this source, you can't manifest. We are reading how you do it is through names. Behind closed doors, they not, the priesthood and the scribes ain't talking English behind closed doors when they in their time of prayer. So we must understand the priesthood do things different. And this is what they've been hiding from the masses of the people. See, omnipotent is our ability to have all abilities.
That's right. That's right.
And the teaching was to teach the omnipotence of man. That was the gospel. Not anything to do with and sacrificing, resulting of crucifixion. That does not show the omnipotence. Though crafted, this is why we have to understand craftsmanship. People who crafted this literature is a part of a craft. So they craft up literature just like a beersman craft up beer. So we didn't get the version of the omnipotent of man. We got scattered bits and pieces. But the whole was supposed to be filled with the omnipotence of man. Now let's take us to our holy light, our divine wisdom, Al-Sufian. This is what we need to understand. That the ancient word for people is nos, nasara. So when you are reading the story of the Nazarenes, those are the story of the people. The people are everyone in the universe. But we were stolen this legacy that was gifted to all. Now, if you understand in the Al-Sufian, in Sufa 144, that is called the people. And that is where you get the word Nazarene from, Nasa. And that word means the omnipotent. And the word omnipotent means the. So man in his incarnation can reach all ableness if he understands the names and their manifestations of Allah by will. And I'm going to read this last line, or these last couple phrases from the holy text about will. So how will is so important into your chemistry of how you manifest and unmanifest. Make the sun rise and make the sun set. And so this comes out of the Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 11, 9. And so it was with every living thing. Check this out now. So it was with every living thing until the will became a sluggish will. See, this is what happened when we got the wrong knowledge. It clogged up our will. Now we got will blockages. The or, the will, the IL has become sluggish. And this is how we have to pick in commonality. You got to raise your vibration. Well, that means you got to raise your will.
Yep.
Now, these are secrets of the will that we weren't told. Force is the will. So now, in even more simpler terms, so we can be able to grab this understanding. Thought is the will of Allah, and it's omnipotent.
Right on.
See, we have to understand this will. We're not going to cover every, because we got to the agenda, but this is a part of it. And these are crucial parts of it.
Yes, indeed.
The cardinal form is to change to form divine. It's supposed to be taught through your omnipotent, through your will. You are to make the flesh divine.
Ooh, ain't that beautiful?
This is beautiful. 41. The will of man makes possible the action of the divine.
See that? See that?
The holy breath. When the will of man and the will of Allah are one,
Mm.
The resurrection is a fact.
Oh.
Those are kept secret from the people because this is sacred to the self.
Mm.
It's the will of man that's going to produce all of man.
Mm.
And so these names are backed into this will. And this is what we got to get back into as we return to the divine instructions.
This endowment is what the verse above refer to us as he taught Adam, i.e., he endowed man with the innate capacity and capability to manifest the names of Allah. How did man equip the universe in which he lives? Question mark. Reflect and nothing comes out of Allah, then how and from where did the gender existed that our five senses perceive come about? Now you know what? Ain't a minute stop and think and dwell on that. How did the senses come about? How do we become like seeing and hearing and tasting and feeling and not even mental speaking and reasoning and being able to think, not to mention all these other senses? How did they come about? Why do we need these senses? And what are you doing? I'm sitting on mine. I've turned my senses into a recliner chair, and that's all I do, sit and rock and recline back and watch television and watch ball games. You know, speaking of that, even when we play ball, it's gonna take a whole lot of action. It's gonna take a whole lot of willpower. If you ain't running the ball, it's power. Now, you playing a lock game in your will for all the wrong reasons. This what done happened. This is what taking place. This is what everybody want to do. They want to play ball, playing somebody else's game. They don't want to play the game of truth. They don't want to play the game that Adam was taught, but they want to play the ball game. Okay. And the angels, common, jinn, common, heaven and hell, question mark. The intermediary realm, barzakh, explained in the Quran in the form of existence. How then they all come to existence? If one can just take a moment to himself and be alone And if you live in the country, you stop and you look around, you see the birds, you see the bees, you see everything going on. Do you ever stop and think and wonder how all this came to be or how all this came into existence? Do you ever stop a moment and think about that? Even you yourself.
As we conclude the first part of the agenda, moving to the second part of the agenda, our divine instruction on 13. How does multiplicity arise from unity? That was just asked. Where did all this multiplicity come from?
Mm-hmm.
Fingers,
Mm-hmm.
more than one arm,
Mm-hmm.
more than one leg,
Yeah.
more than one ear.
Yeah.
Where do pairs come from? So this is an understanding we finna delve into as we begin. Since the one denoted by the name Allah is the only existence, how did the seeming multiplicities form? If existence is originally within the knowledge of the one, did the engendered existence come about? The manifested form. How did these imaginary forms of existence, comprising the assumed world, illusionary creation, to be? Concepts.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concept of a God.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to understand unity. And there's an ancient instruction that is called the unity of life. I want to simplify of an example. One, denoted by the name Allah, of course, but if we give us some clarification, imagine a world in which there is a rich, a poor, a beautiful, and an ugly. Equip these people imagination with various attributes and leave them to interact with each other. That's called thinking. Give them thinking abilities and give them to interact with each other. Do these imaginary beings the answer from you have created them in your. This is how you are creating them in your mind through your thinking. Thinking is how in the physical world of what called conception to or conceive or the concept. There you go. The concept. This is what gives birth, meaning to conceive. So now we have to understand these two are distinct from you. So can I take a look at these imagined beings and define you according to them? Can I claim you are the sum total of these qualities? No. Just as you have assigned these thinking qualities to these forms, perceptions, you could be assigning. Remember, these perceptions your mind. They are non-existence without your mind. Hence, all of their concepts and perspectives belong to your mind. You are the one. Self is the one who is forming these qualities. Just as they don't have any without you, they don't have any thinking qualities that are independent of you either. Nevertheless, I cannot confine you to these qualities, not claim you exist. These qualities alone. Remember, we're in multiplicity that came from unity. The many powers of the mind and the flesh that came out of the self. Let us try to understand the manifested existence and all of infinite, limitless knowledge and wisdom has created the varieties with the infinite structural qualities he created in. So the law, like throwing an object up and then the object coming down, is a law that was created in the creator's mind, just like a thought created in your mind. So we have to understand how to link ourselves back to the source, returning. We've been long like time that we forgot reset or resting. So now the source is resting in self. But we have to understand where the unity is. And unity is different than centricity. So let's keep that in mind. We are individuals. We return to the text, the instructions of all law.
Now, who can deny that when you see all these individuals? Who can deny that?
What was the first Drew Ali asked in the questionnaire? Who made you? Of all law. Knowledge of self. And anyone who don't want have you to with the knowledge of self, they're going to give you anti-self.
Yeah, that's what they've done to us.
So, right. So anti-self is what you got today posing as God and Jesus.
That's right. That's correct.
The next paragraph instructs our whole existence and all of our qualities, remember as individuals, we as all, our whole existence and all of our qualities belong to Allah. This is the great understanding of Allah Rakgaba. This is the will of Allah. This is how the name of the Creator has all the grand unified symmetrical unity of self. Nothing separated. So nothing can and never will be separated from the self. Inside of every individual is the self. This is why each individual operates off self cognition. self-knowledge. So this is a gift given to us by the infinite. This is why we have to understand, this is very important, that define. This is why you attach name or law to manifest the will. But the name of itself, of its own, means that it cannot be defined. Cannot be defined with or confined by even these qualities and attributes. All law is beyond all comparison. Definition and resemblance. If we can understand this, we will see that essentially we are nothing in the sight of all law. And this is what we have to understand. That is a beautiful thing, to be nothing. We saying no thing. Example says, how much can a piece of artwork encapsulate its artist? An artist may have a moment of inspiration and incredible artwork, but this piece can only be the reflection of the artist's frame of mind at the time. Perhaps the reflection of only a moment of inspiration. Surely, the reflection of the artist as a whole. The whole universe with all of mankind, from the first human beings to now. All of creation. Everything comprising the earth. Our solar system, the star, in which our solar system is like a grain of sand, and the entire cosmos, composed of billions of constellations. We can perceive the infinite. All of it is a depiction of only a thought of one in the sight of all law. That's that's what we call thoughtivity. The thought from all. This is so beautiful. Our universe, or what we perceive as the infinite limitless, did we catch that? The universe, limitless existence, comprising the whole of creation, to which Sufian refers with various types of the name of all law. Right? That's what is the only thing that has kept the way alive, but at the same time, it has been invaded through Persians. So the divine words have alter, but that never altered the meaning of all law. See, because all law cannot be defined or confined. Just like Yeshua told, talking about is boundless, boundless space, boundless power, bring boundless joy, cannot be compassed by, can't be shaped. This is coming from our divine. Some people call it the perfect man. The Moorish Holy Quran call it the spirit man. The Quran call it the grand spirit. The first intellect. These two is nothing but an instantaneous creation. In the sight of all law. Remember, because in our previous lesson, the great elder covered the meaning of the word instant.
That's right.
When we're going over the AN and the AL, the and the A. So we have to understand, just as a human body is formed from one single cell, the whole cosmos is formed from one instance of a thought.
Right. That's some kind of power. That's some kind of power, isn't it?
And this is why we have to understand the one cell that's separate from the mother and the father. You cannot think of one thing right now that is made up of one thing. Everything that exists requires, and to manifest requires two attributes. This is the single cell or the unity. The whole entire cosmos is inside of the unity called the self, the one, who is the one being. Cosmos is formed from one instance of a thought. Creation, from what you doing to what you not doing, was an instant thought. And that's the first cell or the first mind. And then the effect happens. And we carry it out as a duty and responsibility of all law. So just as the universe exists, self exists. Just as the whole of creation program, which is called your spirit, is contained in that one single original self. It calls cell, C-E-L-L. That's the self. Plan and program of the whole universe. That's called the narrative. Is inside of the self. And everything in the narrative is contained in that single instance of thought called observation. Once we observe the first, once the two observe the one, it becomes the three. And there or connection or thoughtivity. That's like charging your phone and your phone being plugged in. That's a 3-step process. You got the phone, you got the wall, and you got the core. So the three-step process is the same way describing your divine self as Trinity. So the Holy Trinity itself, when it decides to create existence using this, is the reality of you to create your destiny. Nothing is absolute. Meaning no one can determine your trajectory. Meaning no one can determine when you're gonna die, what you're gonna do when you're alive. All this is solely determined by its proprietary, its sole proprietor, the self. This is what we have to understand as the knowledge and wisdom of all law. All of us have this, not just a few, as the 1% that rules the secret societies are using their fake law system but to self-growth, to self-knowledge. And you don't want a hemorrhoid. You don't want a hemorrhoid. And so you don't want to have a hemorrhoid to self-knowledge. So, right as the great elder said earlier, know what you're listening to, know what is teaching you, test the spirit to see if it's divine. Do it know what it knows? And that's why the edge is knowing the ledge of knowledge. This is a three-way. The next paragraph said, let's think about the letter K. The letter K, instantly K.O.S. Imagine the vertical line comprising this letter extended to infinity. That infinity had no beginning and no end. Now think of a single point on this line from which the second and third lines extend to form the letter K. If we think of this infinitely long vertical line as all Law's knowledge, we may say the angle formed by the second and third lines, which originate from a single point, called an instance, an instant thought. On this line, on this self, universe. This is called the higher, which we call the angels, and you have the lower, which we call the jinns. That's distributed out from the single. Those are the two angels. You hear about the angel, right shoulder, and the demon that they call angel on your left shoulder. This is how they using a secret hidden sign. This is what they use to trick and hijack us. It's called the method of the crisscross spirit. They take the same, its opposite, and crisscross it. And this crisscross creates a knot or a bind. And so now this is what we have to untie through the spirit, mind, and body, as the Holy Trinity is this single vertical line. Have been angled out to a mind and to a body. And now we got to dissolve those two into the unified self. There is no more anxiety dealing with thinking. There's no more hurt and pain, or no more physical injury with the physical body. Now you can live a holy life. So next sentence says, if we think of this infinitely long vertical line as, hold up, let's skip ahead. Note, next sentence, I am saying angle and not a triangle. Angle and not triangle. Since a triangle has defined boundaries as opposed to our universe, which is dimensionally infinite. Into
Good.
that's dimensionally infinite. This is why you can see people stretch it and bend it like it ain't like it's rubber.
Yeah. And you all person be this size, the next, see him 30 years later, become 10 times his size.
This is the infiniteness of the flesh. Both of these, flesh and mind, are both infinite in the sense of their origin. But when we shape and form, it's finite, or trinity, or a triangle. So we want to focus on the angel, the angle, the higher self. This infinite existence has been created in a single thought. In all laws knowledge, creation has no limits. Substitute that word with thinking. No limits.
That's right.
And this limitless, boundless thinking comprises only a single thought. See, this is why self got to learn how to think a thought.
That's right.
And we can get everywhere and anywhere we need to be.
Right on.
We don't need no vote.
There you
Self
go.
need to learn how to think a thought.
Here you go. He talking about damn vote. See, look what he done did to your thought. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. It's beautiful. Just let it breathe.
You done tricked you out of your mind.
Right. Now he thinking your thoughts.
Yeah. And you see now, when you hit fast forward from what we studying today to now, you can see that somebody else have, with their concept, have taken over your mind and got you believing in him, and he can fix your problem.
That's right.
And now you think you need to vote on for a Republican Party or Democratic Party to fix your problem, or a president to fix your problem, or a congressman to fix your problem, or a senator to fix your problem. And by the make it short, can't none of them fix your problem but you yourself.
You yourself. You yourself.
Yeah.
He said, if I could just get you to, you will save yourself. Now I'm going to bring a whole instruction out of the Al-Sufian. A mind that won't think is no better than a cow that won't milk. Woo! Woo! That's some omnipotent. Remember, we talked has no limits. So to the state of mind. Is a state of mind. It's a thought to think. Every single universe among infinite universes is an artwork of Allah's creative knowledge. That's all the people. We are infinite universe as a tapestry of artwork. As the angels perfectly state in the Quran. Remember, the angels are the messengers of the divine, the higher self. We can only know you with the knowledge you grant us. This is what the higher inclination is saying to yourself. Your higher self can only do what you tell it to do. This is why the story of 3 wishes. They say you find in Aladdin, you find you got 3 wishes. This is mockery of. You don't have 3 wishes, you got 3 infinity that can grant you anything on every plane. So it's nothing greater than the divine spirit. At the same time, there's nothing greater than the flesh. And the flesh is the lesser. And it can hold all this greatness. That's the point right there. It can hold all this greatness. Yeah. That's what the angel said to the self now. Yeah. We can only know you with the knowledge you grant us. Self grant us. With the knowledge, self-knowledge, and comprehension of self-knowledge with which you, self, have bestowed us, the higher self, the angels. It's possible for us to really know you, the self. Now, this is very calculative. This is logical, reasonable, and sensible. Now, in the knowledge of Allah, we are but forms of thought among infinite other thought forms. People. All people are thought forms. And these thought forms are infinite universes within. So we have to understand every outward as these forms called manifestations are all created by Allah. This is how we become unified. Allah created you in that which you do. This is all we need to know as the self. Allah created the self and that which self do. When you doing the knowledge of self, that is what self do. What self is what Allah is. It is not difficult to understand this. Think about the example I gave previously. Think about those forms you have created in your mind through thinking and allow them to interact with each other. When they meet one another in thought and display certain behaviors, will their separate, independent existence drive their actions? Or will they be displaying the natural activities of the actions which you have designed them? It's called ills and does. This is why we call it wisdom. What wisdom is what wisdom does. Wisdom. And if you don't know this, this is the discernment of what's wise and what's done. So we have to bring back ourselves to purity. This is how you will understand everything that is being said, by striving for purity in life. And the knowledge of self-knowledge is that knowledge to purify. So we have to ask, hence, we as the creation of all law are only thoughts manifesting all laws called characters and will. This is all character development and reasonable willing, supported and reinforced by intentional choosing. This is the very act of manifesting all laws characters is the reality of servitude. See the difference? Not worship, servitude. Now the spirit, mind, and flesh can serve the self. Servitude. Now we should be getting the flower. The flower should be blooming. How much can I know self? Or self know self? I can only know you as much as myself. And you can only know me as much as yourself. If I possess a quality that you lack, then you can never know that particular quality of mine. And if I lack a quality that you have, I will never know that quality with you. See, this is why self-knowledge is very, very critical in the 21st century. Because the opposite of self-knowledge is suicide. The self-choosing sides, thereby dying. Not knowing the self. And self-knowledge that you was never any of those varieties. All that came through thinking, and thinking produced the cause to every effect. If within this universe there is another universe, lower self, higher self, of which we lack perception, that's from the Moorish Holy Quran, then we can never discern it. So that's why that gift of the Moorish Holy Quran of the lower self, higher self was given as a gift so you can have the power of discernment. The man who discerns, spirit man. So if we think in this light, we can only know the infinite existence denoted by the name Allah, as much as he reflects. In fact, Allah's infiniteness is only so according to the meanings projected, called black, colored. Those are projected meanings on you, not what the divine creator gave you.
That's right.
The divine creator gave you the name Sufian, Sufian, and whatever else to follow is on you. In reality, Allah is even, not equal to concepts, beyond concepts, such as infinite and this is why they didn't want us to know the knowledge of Allah. They gave us a substitute called God.
Boy, they got us walking around in the shadow grave.
In the shadow grave. Though I gave the letter K as an example to elucidate this topic, one should not understand it as only one line of infinite points. If it should be thought of as a platform of infinity, the self, a platform of infinity. For even an infinite line has boundaries. Think of it. Perhaps an infinite space full of infinite points, and our universe as only one of these points. That's called magnificence. Now let's take it one notch further. Think of the angle forming from one of those points and try to grasp its infiniteness. Now in this dimensionally infinite angle, remember I study on the AN, angle, there are countless other points. And each of these points also project infinite angles. The mind and the flesh. In other angles within angles, all within a single self, in a space of infinite points. Such is the all of creation. This is why it's so big. They couldn't think that big. How you can think business big, but you can't think of yourself big.
Yeah, that's right.
Something wrong with that.
That's right. That's right.
That's peace and love.
You can be a tall skyscraper, but you can't think yourself as being beyond the skyscraper. And when you see a skyscraper, that's from a thought. So,
yeah. We should have a clear view and understanding now of an angle from a triangle, or from the one from the Trinity.
And you could see why now that when they put the word God out there and put a period behind it, they got that little bit. But now, everybody call on God with no name. Just plain old God to do. Plain old God to do.
Now that's our agenda, so gotta go 14.
Yeah.
We only got 2 hours to feed. Put in his feed. It's spiritual nourishment.
14. The point. It is said, what begins at the point ends at the elite. That is, everything at the point of oneness and ends Wahidiyah. The whole referred in Sufism as the one theophany, or the divine self disclosure of Allah, Tajali Wahid. It is also said what began at the point ends at the sin. Ran means human in Arabic, and the point is the one ahad. The Quran beginning with the letter Ba, B-A, to be more precise, beneath the B-A and Ali. Just like when one wants to draw a line, one begin at a point, which then becomes the source from which the line extended. The Ba of the Basmala is the source point of all the characters in the Quran. You know, when you stop and think about the 99 names of Allah or the 101 names of Allah, whatever name it says, it's just like a point. You know, like when you are pronouncing all the names, no matter how many it is, it starts at the point.
At the point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what. Now that's the word Aleph. And that's the word Aleph.
Mm.
You have to this, but this is why I'm a master at what I do.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is why they saying come off the point is two.
Yeah.
You got the oneness and the unity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember the angle.
Mm-hmm.
Off the line
Off
of the
the
K
line,
come
that's
two.
right. Yeah.
So extensions of the one.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all talking about the knowledge of self.
Mm.
You as an understanding is a beginning point
Mm-hmm.
of infinity. And see, all our names is telling us, but we ain't studying or we don't have these ancient keys.
Right. That's right. That's right. That's right. And seeing, you can see why don't nobody believe in eternity now, because they not been brainwashed and subjugated to death, and now they think that when breath leaves, a life is no longer, that's the end of the road.
That's what people have been
And so
told.
now they have been sold that and told that, and now they have brought that. The point never changes. It comes together. When you think of a house or a foundation of a house, it starts at a point, and when you wind up, you wind up.
It's amazing.
Hey,
yes.
From just that little draft,
Yes.
I'm looking at the blueprint
That's what
before
you
the
are,
house
yeah.
becomes what it is.
Yeah, you done had a lot of activity
Yeah,
in that field.
I can see the whole picture.
The math come together.
Yeah.
That not bringing it to us.
Yeah.
See, and this is where they get actually with a remember, because I say that the first Bible, that the first Bible was written. So when you get the comment, they saying we born this.
Mm-hmm.
See, sin is actually an Arabic letter. The S letter is called sin.
Mm-hmm.
And see, then they said man was born in sin.
Yeah.
This is how we know where they got it from, where they stole it from, and they are extortioners, thieves. And these are extortioners and thieves. Let's continue while we're on time.
In their essence, there are repetitions of the same point. Hadra Ali says, I am the point beneath the bar. Perhaps to mean, I am none, yet I am all. I am the Ali. The last chapter of the Quran is called Nas, which means mankind. As mentioned, the letter sin is representative of a single human. Hence, means O human, mankind. Eventually, what we have is a semicircle going from the point to man and the journey of man through consciousness back to the. Look at that.
And that's what we call
the journey of man, the journey of life.
Allah. That's what we say.
The
Allah.
journey of Allah. Uniting with Allah and a man with the knowledge of the. Now you can see mess because we started off on the wrong point. And going to somebody else's school, that's the wrong point. See, all the points when we should have been following the ones who were with the right myth in the shit we in today. Go to somebody else's school and learn their golden rules. Yeah, did a whole lot of damage.
We purifying ourselves by these texts. It's purifying.
Eventually, what we have in a semicircle going from the point to man and journey branches back to the point. United with Allah, in essence, come about a man with the knowledge of the point. With the knowledge of the point makes mankind Nas obsolete. Since humans do not have an independent existence, it makes no sense to talk about losing something that doesn't exist in the first place.
That's right.
Earth and the sun, to which the earth is bound. 1 to 3,000 times bigger than. Good goodness alive. Boy, that's big, ain't it? A galaxy comprised of 400 billion stars like the sun. The universe, which contains billions of such galaxies, infinite other universes that are perceived by infinite other systems of perceptions. Universes within universe. I guess that's where all these go. You could see the copycat set up his system off the creation code. You go in every state, you got universes after universe. I wonder why he called his school universities now. Okay. A single forming the angle. All these infinite universes originate. A single point, a single instant. Da. The name Allah to denote the creator of these infinite points, instances, and all the angles projecting from them to form the infinite number of the universe within universe.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why we're gonna need names. So knowing that, and the enemy stealing this, and by that way he knows, started renaming.
Yeah, that's what he did.
And so he recategorized all of our divine names.
Sure did.
And that's what the journey was, getting back to our divine. Everything in divinity is divine and pure. We've been missing what falls under the role of divine. Now that we have divine, now we understand the divine covers all. It's the total.
Yeah.
It's the unity. It's the collection. Divine only works and subject to divine law.
Yeah.
Divine law is not natural law. For divine law is greater than natural law.
Yes.
So now we can deal from the single point is the point of divinity. And that's what is called Illah. Rock bar. As to this 15 instruction.
Yeah.
Our next agenda.
And before you do that, I just got to reiterate on this right here. You know, and then the copycat, the name his school or state after the universe, like the universe of Georgia, the universe of Alabama, the universe of Mississippi.
Believe it or not, remember it's in you, so these things pull you.
Yeah. And all these others, you know, but it's just the thought.
Mm-hmm.
But when you were going to school, you couldn't see that right then and there, you know, because you're learning his way and his method, you know. You're just glad to go there now, and you don't see that you leave the real universe and go to the false universe. By going to his school and attending that. What's greater than the creation?
But that's why people are unconscious.
Yeah.
Because now they went to the enemy school.
Sure did.
So he's gonna knock you unconscious.
Sure did.
So now to become conscious, you gotta gain your names back.
Yeah.
Since you've been unconscious, you picked up his name.
Yeah, boy.
And these names ain't the names of conscious beings.
Sure is.
So the name determines the consciousness, as we all determine. We finna go into the next instruction. Name. Names, 15. The word, remember they said the word was God.
Yeah, well, why they didn't put Allah?
They say the word was God, and in the beginning, the word was with God. So let's check this out.
Okay.
The word Allah in English is a name.
Is a name.
Not a word. Is a name. This is why they gave you a word called God. God is not a name. So now, Allah is the name. A name is a word that points. Do you catch that? Points. We just covered the point. The point of oneness, the point is not a name that points to a God.
Goodness alive.
That's critical for a true. Because we know God is a concept.
Yes, indeed. Somebody.
Not a name. Indeed, this name is not used in reference to the concept of God at all. See, with all law, we got to throw all that out the window.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Because all of that is a concept of God.
Yeah.
Which all law is not a. We covered that in our previous knowledge. And all law in English is used to direct our attention somewhere. We are asking all law points to that we may decipher the truth. Gotta siphon the truth. Now, if you have read a few of my books or have seen my photo somewhere, and somebody asks you, do you know Lucy? How realistic would your answer be if you say, yes, I know him from a photo? How much can a photo and a few books, which depict some of my thoughts at some interval of my life, reveal about my personality? People spend a lifetime together and still don't know each other.
Say that again.
All you can really know about Lucy, based on these, is his physical looks. That he is a Sufi.
Hey, what you say?
See, how I get close?
Yeah.
See, this is how we get to the truth, to the Sufian. See, we are Sufian. And this is the divine title of those who become Christ in consciousness. Christ Allah. This is the shining, the revealer of the light. Plain Christ deals with only one spectrum, and that's coming into the flesh. But we talking about Christ all to all, from the rooter to the tutor, from ashy to class, from the field to cornmeal. As we go, how much can an artist depict its artist? All that can be captured in artwork is the thoughts and imagination of the artist at the time of making the artwork, nothing more. And how about the personality of the artist? Unknown. So if the name Lucy is only a reference word pointing to the author of these books, and if not possible to know who Lucy is based on his name, Then similarly, it is also impossible to know the existence denoted by the name Allah based on his name alone. This is why we have to read or become a scholar. So if the word Allah is only a name that is used, the rights of divine use to channel our understanding to a particular specific reality. What is this reality of which we need? Remember that the word of unity, La ilaha illallah, denounces all concepts of God. Denounces all concepts of God, all concepts of the mind, all concepts conceived through thinking, right or wrong, good or bad, false from falsity, truth from what is true. Ilaha illallah denounces all concepts and claims it is only Allah, but Allah. Then that thinkable, and unperceivable things by mankind, that is, all relative, and absolute planes of existence, are a hallucination of a single instance in the sight of Allah. It is only one thought according to you among infinite others. All this is based on one thought according to you. Do you say you die? Is that according to you? Or did they say you die? And that's according to them. Remember, you got the last word. Next paragraph. Everything that we perceive, not perceive, recognize, not recognize, design, or not imagine, are all contained within the single self of the single instance of projection of the self, denoted by the name Allah. This instance is a thought in the sight of you. The point is a thought. This point, according to us, is the source point of manifestation. See? The point is the thought. Humanity, the jinns, the angels, and all of the universe or the multiverse within the universe of perception have all been manifested from this single thought. Ponder on a single point in the midst of infinity. That's the unified self on the self in the middle of infinity. Created as the point, the universal existence is the first mind in terms of its knowledge. It is the grand spirit in terms of its life. Remember, spirit joins matter.
That's right.
And life flows. The reality of Muhammad, by respect of his essence and known as the perfect man, in terms of its personification, this is the existence denoted by the name you. You are Muhammad, just like you are Christ. And all men come from the sweet breath.
That's right.
Of Allah. This personified existence is only a form of knowledge within the knowledge of all law. See how that works? Who obtained his existence from the names of you, us, all of us. Hence, his existence cannot be independent of the self. The point. All perceivable characters and names and their observable acts within the absolute universe that have been created from the point are all due to you manifesting yourself every moment in yet another miraculous way. You call it a miracle. The seventh wonders, and you the first. The consciousness of the self pertaining to the perfect man, self-knowledge, who comprises only a single point or a single thought. That's what we were reading about in the book of the way, the great thought. The great thought among infinite others in the sight of all law is beyond the knowledge of the one who has acquired level of consciousness referred to as pleasing self, and is unlike the existence. That's the lower self. Self-knowledge is higher self. Pleasing self is the lower self. The terms infinite and limitless only hold validity less than the names and attributes of you. Wow. Self-knowledge. The self's knowledge. Knowledge is self. Outside of the point, outside of the thought, they are forgotten. They are obsolete. They don't exist. Man who obtained his existence within this thought has no existence at the thought, at the point. That's what is key. When we get to the point of we witnessing the thought, it turns into no thought. Right at that center point, it turns into none, no thought. And that's what they call the fati. Now, in light of all of this, let us reconsider the place of the word Allah, a reference word that points beyond the point to signify the infinite all in the sight of that which is beyond everyday language. This is how beautiful Allah is.
And they messed us up when they did this and said that it speaks on constantly about perfect man, but this society don't condemn that. And they say ain't no perfect man. Then there ain't nothing perfect. This what this society have taught and documented, and they all believe it.
That's a fact.
And that's a fact.
That's why we gotta clean it up.
That's right. They don't believe in that. No perfect man. Well, I ain't perfect now, but you're a liar though. You believe you're a liar. You believe in imperfection. Why you can't believe in perfection?
I don't know who, because that ain't me. We have two, that's why we needed it. Two more. It was supposed to finish at 17.
One more go.
Yeah, we got to finish at 17.
All right, 16. The point is the reality. The projection is the illusion. Illusion. All things that rotate must certainly rotate because they center. That is, at the center of everything that rotates lies an invisible point. Look at that right there. Everything within the micro and macro plane of existence is engaged in an active motion or rotation. This is what the word subhanallah signifies. When one looks at a circle from outside the circle and its center, in other words, one circle is observed as two things, the circumference and the center, whereas it is neither the circle nor the center that matters, but the one, but the cone.
Mm-hmm. And that word right there, subhanallah, is the word Sufianallah.
Hmm.
Word that those people from the Middle East been saying,
Yeah.
subhanallah, that's not the correct version. It's Sufian Allah. Sufian Allah. That's why you got Sufan from the Fatiha. See, and all this go together. As we read about the fauna, taking us back to Allah.
Yeah.
It's good.
In reality, the circle is a projection originating from the point. The point is the actual. The projected circle is only an illusion. That is, the projection is formed from the point, with the knowledge of the point inside the knowledge of the point. One who looks at the circle from the outside will always see the circle and its center. One who looks from the outside will always see duality. One who loses his identity will observe the projection from the point with the one who observed from the point. All I could think about. Well, here comes the white man and the black man. And how he brainwashed the black man of his identity. And now all they do is observe him.
That's it.
I hate to say
That's
that.
it. That was perfectly said.
I had to say that because I reflect to that when I read that.
Mm-hmm.
And that, boy, he brings.
That's the loop he playing.
Man.
Yes, this the loop he doing.
Boy, he doing
Mm-hmm.
a shit job on us.
Mm-hmm.
He will be at the point in his own imagination. The concept of duality will lose all validity. The ideal of a certain actually an optical illusion. This is the illusion of those whose conscience is enslaved by their organs or their white master.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's real. Mm-hmm.
The one who perceived as pure consciousness will observe the projection as pure consciousness as well. In this, by reading that, hearing that, that goes to show me that we are not in pure consciousness because somebody else has taught us the wrong way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the sight of the organ, there is a line, and in the sight of consciousness, there are only points that comprise a line.
Mm-hmm.
The point, explanation. tomorrow. The circle formed by line comprises of points in rotation, points assumed in rotation. For subhanallah. Mm, 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 mm,
Okay, we'll finish this up on the last one, 17. The reality denoted by you. The Arabic word you, who signifies dimensional independence, beyond all concepts of quantity and quality. You denotes the oneness of self beneath the veil of multiplicity.
mm,
The name you is the dimension, the essence of the part. It is this dimension of oneness that forms the existence of individuals.
mm,
One is the source of all existence.
mm, mm,
This is why we have individuals.
mm.
This is the source of all.
Yeah.
The life contained in your fingerprints is due to the blood and energy flowing from the veins of your arm.
Mm,
Thus, the movement and activity of your fingers is driven by the initiating signals from your arm. Similarly, you can be equated to he, or the essence of the one.
mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind. When you hear about he,
Yeah, see,
Mhm.
that's what I just thought
and
about.
him,
Yeah, that's right. That's
he
what
is
it's
the
going to.
Almighty.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
word you.
Yeah.
That's why they put in older terms yea,
Yeah.
ye,
Yeah.
thy, thee. All that we can see through our physical eyes, the human two eyeballs,
Mm-hmm.
is included within the scope of the name Az-Za-Zahira. The explicit, unequivocal, perceivable manifestation. The name Al-Batin, the unperceivable reality within the perceivable manifestation, on the other hand, references all those things that cannot be perceived by the human eyeballs and the human ears and the 12 and 24 other senses. The totality of this one that is multiplicity, one existence, you. Let's try to identify what we call I. This is the most used word every day. I. So let's get some understanding of I. Let's turn to the essence of matter and zoom in to the levels of molecule, a neutron, a quark, and your quantum. And finally, force ourselves to perceive these things as waves of particles. This zooming through dimensions is, in fact, the act of extension. Zooming through dimensions. The infinite cosmos in our perception is like an angle projected from a single self at a single thought. To restate this infinitely vast existence, to as K.O.S, the cosmos, angle from a single thought, one self among infinite others in the sight of you. 1 times 1 equals 1. The one referred to as the spirit man, the perfect man, the Sufian, the reality of Muhammad, is also created from this single point. The point symbolizes the origin. You is the creator of infinite thoughts and the point of abstraction within each thought. You can pull out of the thought. You imagine into existence from the thought, that is, from the mind. Yet you is beyond and independent of all of this. That's just in the form of the spirit. Such is the intended for the realization of Musalim. And that will conclude our divine meeting. We close our divine meeting in the name of the Fion.